Welcome to day 121 of the 300 movie challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of June 2004, which was Spider-Man 2.
You
One
sound
random
so enthusiastic.
one thing that I just want to say is that he looks better with glasses. It has nothing to do with like the rest of the review that we're going to talk about, but I just wanted to put that out
Oh
there.
yeah, there's one also very small thing where I was looking at Tobey Maguire's face and he kept having like this certain expression. I'm just like, it reminds me of Frodo. And then I was like,
No, I got the same idea.
is there something about like boyish like actors with blue eyes that just look worried and sad all the
Yeah,
time?
no, it's like that worried, like, oh no, what am I to do kind of
Yeah.
look. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, this is like Elijah Wood again. Except with Tobey Maguire. And I was like, is this just a thing? So
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
look out for boyish looking actors with blue eyes to see if they all do that now.
Okay. The worried boy.
The worried boy trope.
Yes. Um, at least for me, I realized that, at least for me, I felt very similarly about the first Spider-Man movie as I did about the first Shrek. And I feel that I feel this one, Spider-Man 2, in about the same ways that I like Shrek 2. It's like they both improved, but they still have some problems.
Yeah.
That's how I
So,
feel anyway. I don't know. And I feel like
I I I agree that I think the plot of this one in terms of like the internal conflict that Spider-Man had to go through and stuff is a really interesting take on the whole thing. Is at least I always wondered. I was like, well, why do you go about saving people every day? Why don't you just go and be a normal person? So I've
Mhm.
liked that they kind of like explored that question and everything.
mm,
However, I think I still like Shrek 2 better than this film for the fact that the whole romance aspect just completely fell apart on me.
yeah, yeah, Mary
think
Jane. I think we'll all agree that Mary Jane is the worst thing about this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are a lot of things that I like. Like I like as you guys mentioned, like Spider-Man's Peter Parker's like internal conflict. I actually also like Doc Ock quite a lot.
Yeah, his setup is a bit like goofy and ridiculous, but like how he kind of his portrayal of things, and also, well, this is not just him, but also in the action in this movie is like noticeably better.
Oh
Than I
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is.
Because
Mhm.
like I
I like
remember
the
the first one, we kind of were like it looks a little like goofy,
Yeah.
and like this one, like it still kind of had that like cartoonish like style to it, but it was much like more. What was the word that I had in my head? It was like dynamic.
Yeah, it's
It
more
was
Yeah.
it was
dynamic.
much more like in your face and moving around a lot quicker and faster.
I
And
think they took a lot more risk with it,
yeah,
which I found interesting.
Yeah.
Like
and I
with the angles and the
mhm.
CGI. Like sometimes it looks like it's CGI, but
You don't really
since it's
care.
yeah, because it's like Spider-Man and they
Yeah.
make it a little bit more cartoony because he falls off like a 10-story building and he's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
somehow.
kind of when you know that you're working with cartoon
About
physics.
3 times.
Yeah, and he doesn't die.
No, I like the one line that you said, Mayan, where he was on the train and you were like, did they add this scene just so that they could make Toby Maguire make all those funny faces?
Oh.
I think they did. I'm sure he had a lot of fun because I could see that he was like really into it.
I mean, it was a cool scene though. So,
Yeah.
but and even beyond, again, like it's the cartoony kind of style. But like that moment when like Doc Ock's like first in that hospital and he like awakens, like, and he's like fucking up all the doctors. Like that's like legitimately terrifying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
was like,
like,
holy shit, this is dark. Like, damn, did not expect that. It was
Oh,
super
man,
vicious,
man.
and I was like, oh fuck. So, yeah, that definitely helped. I do like the mental thing that you said with Peter Parker. What I don't understand though is like how come his actual like physical abilities like kind of went away.
I think
Like they never. I thought they were gonna reveal that there was some actual reason for that, but it kind of seemed like they were just saying like, oh, because you didn't have the willpower to do it. And I'm like, really? Like, I don't. You know what I mean? I don't really buy that.
Yeah, like a good comparison, I guess, is like that I didn't really understand as a child is I think they tried doing like what they did in Kiki's Delivery Service. I don't know if Alan's watched it.
I have.
Pro.
I have not
No.
seen it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, in the movie, Kiki the witch, she loses her ability to fly on her broomstick and stuff. And she's like, I don't know what happened. I keep trying and stuff. And there was a character that got introduced in, like, I guess the first third of the movie and stuff. And she kind of explains that maybe she's going through an art block and she kind of has to figure herself out, and that everybody goes through the block, but then once you get over it, then everything's fine and stuff, and once you find a purpose with it. Which I think they were trying to do with this movie, but I don't think I got it as clearly as I did before, because it's kind of like in Kiki's Delivery Services kind of went more on they concentrated more on the purpose thing and less on the romance thing, but here it was more like, oh no, Mary Jane's in danger, suddenly his spider powers are back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
They never explained why. It's like, okay, that's great, but he's not going to go through this internal like conclusion in his head.
Well, because that's the
It's
thing. Like, the internal conclusion is fine by itself. You didn't need this,
Yeah.
like, losing powers on top of it. It just feels
Yeah.
like... Because that's why I thought it was, like, some other thing. Like, there was some legitimate reason that he can't use it anymore, but, like... And then that, on top of the internal conflict that he's having, is, like, building, but it seems like, oh, no, they're not separate. They're somehow linked. Huh? So, like, that... Yeah, that kind of felt unnecessary. But yeah, no, that like internal conflict where it's like, not only is it's a combination of, can I like actually, do I actually have the ability to do a bunch of stuff, but then also it's like, you know, I'm never going to save everybody, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I, you know, work with that? And that's, I think, a legitimately interesting thing, and I've
Yeah.
seen that
Yeah.
done I've seen that done in Batman stuff. I've actually there's kind of somewhat of a similar thing in to the Superman animated series from the 90s. And so one thing, actually, I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but it's related to this. One other thing that I like that they did in this movie is that something that really bothers me for superhero stuff, and like this is and actually what I think was an issue for a lot of those Superman episodes, is that like they introduce a new villain, and it doesn't seem to make sense why the hero would lose.
Right.
Right? Where it's like, it's Superman, it's like, he'd be amazing, and then it's like, here's this dude who does a thing, and Superman, like, loses. And you're like, but how the fuck did you lose? Like, you know what I mean?
He's Superman.
Yeah. And, like, you know, so... But here, it made sense. Right?
Yeah.
You saw them fighting, and it was like, okay, all this forms and shit, it's like, this makes sense that Spider-Man would kind of, like, not do that great against him, right? They didn't feel, like, overwhelmed, or that, like, it was a mismatched in any way. So, that was good. And on top of the whole thing about, like, so that is a great way to go into, like, can I actually save people, and what if I can't? Like, can I live with that, and all that kind of stuff. Going into that, which, again, when the Superman thing does this, it does it extremely well, and it actually transitions into something else, which is, like, even better, but I'm not going to get into that, because that's its own thing. I will rave about the ending of Superman the Animated Series later, but it's, like, one of the best endings of all time. But anyway,
Oh yeah, I remember this.
I showed it to you, but,
Oh yeah.
it was, yeah, anyway, so,
I need to sneeze.
yeah, but it's kind of touching on that, right, in terms of that whole kind of mental idea of how that works, and so, when they did that, it worked fine, and it was good. It was just this extra physical thing on top of it, and the romance on top of it, which didn't work at all, because Mary Jane, like, sucks, but she, like, acts like she doesn't suck.
Which is the worst part, because
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
it's like, okay, you could be off to the side and not really do anything, and it's not great, but it's not bad either, I guess. Or, and it's like 50% of the time that she's on screen, she's screaming.
I think...
And then she's gotten kidnapped 3 times? And then she's fallen in love with guys 3 times?
I think, like, the way I want to compare this film is, like, how Valen feels about Primal Fear. I feel like the good parts are pretty good, but the bad parts, I don't really know what to do with them. Because when I think about it, I don't know if Mary Jane brings it down for me personally so much that I can't get it past the first movie, which is a shame because the first movie is very mediocre. But then this one has like really interesting things with Spider-Man and then Doc Ock and then how they kind of like compare to each other.
Yeah.
But then this bitch is here just being the worst. And
you know, I had some hope for her in the beginning of the movie because I was like, okay, she's out of the picture. She has a Broadway thing going. She has a boyfriend. All right, yeah, this is cool and everything. And then at the end of the movie, she's like...
She turns into Julia Roberts.
She Julia Roberts her way out of the movie.
At least Julia Roberts showed up at the doorway and then ran away.
Oh yeah, that's true.
This person leaves a freaking note saying, sorry. I couldn't have figured out my feelings sooner.
They had the chance to make her just dump the guy when, like, he went to go see her after, like, Doc Ock sacrifices himself and stuff. But she's like, maybe I'll get married still. And then that day, she's like, you know, fuck everyone at the wedding. I'm gonna go and... I'm gonna go be with Spider-Man.
I think the worst part of it too is that you see her smiling as she's running away as if she just like won the lottery, or she's like a kid going to a candy store and stuff, and it's like, you just left that guy at the altar.
Like, we don't get enough character development from him to feel like actual sympathy, but I'm just like, just from a general, like, standpoint, like, getting left at the altar by someone who does that, doesn't even show up, leaves you a note, and is, like, so shitty.
It's like The Wedding Singer.
Oh, yeah! His wife did, too.
Yeah, and, like, see, the thing is, I was actually about to give them props, because I thought... they actually were going to leave. No, I thought that like they were gonna be like, our relationship won't work, and they're gonna be like, you're right, and move on.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna do that. Just like I was like, oh wow, that actually is an interesting way to look at this. But then they fuck it up in literally the worst way possible. And there was something else I was gonna say about this. What was it? No. It was one of the messages actually. Near the end, when Peter Parker says to Doc Ock, like, sometimes you have to give up your dreams.
Oh.
And I was like, that's interesting. That's not something you hear, right? You always hear, follow your dreams no matter what, right? And it's like, well, if your dream ends up, you know, fucking so much stuff up, you know, so it's like it's an interesting kind of counter to that I was surprised that they went that way, but I'm kind of glad they did. So
they went that way and then they fuck up the romance.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's if Mary Jane just wasn't in this movie, this would be so much better.
If Mary Jane died at the end of the first movie, we would be fine.
Yeah.
Because the thing is too is that you hear that message and you're like, oh, okay, this is great, and then it's like, yeah, so I made your dream come true, and I'm here at your doorstep now, and I want to be...
No, exactly. Oh, fuck, they totally fucked up that message just a bit later with her. Oh, god damn it. Mary Jane fucked everything up.
Yeah, because when you mentioned that, I was like, wait, no, Mary Jane ruined that too, because that was like Peter Parker's... Because think about it. The whole thing with Mary Jane caused him to want him to go buy that car in the first movie,
Mhm.
which consequently made Uncle Ben die.
She killed Uncle Ben!
And then, like, everything else happening and whatnot. Somehow she makes him get his powers back. I don't really know why.
Yeah. Oh, now I'm like actually mad now. Okay, fucking hell. Like that makes so much more sense now. Where like based on the message, they should have not gotten together, so they actively fucked.
Yeah.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah, you see now why I feel the same way about, like, you feel about Primal Fear.
Yeah. Again, and it sucks because like the other stuff is like legitimately good, and like
Yeah.
the action's good, and the stuff between him and Doc Ock is good.
I
The-
would even
you know.
prefer, instead of Mary Jane, that we see, like, his storyline with Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was actually kind of interesting. How he kind of Harry like took advantage of Doc Ock and kind of used him in that way, like for his own
Yeah.
kind of selfish reason in a way that was like, you know, parallel to what was happening, and that was kind of like, oh, it was a way of keeping him relevant. Where clearly he's going to be more important than Spider-Man 3. He wasn't the focus here, but it kept him relevant enough so that it doesn't feel like it's totally random, you know, later down the line. So, yeah, they could have gone to that a little bit more. There was one thing that was kind of dumb. Besides Mary Jane, there are a few. It's not like it's perfect besides Mary Jane. Like,
You mean the part where he gets slapped?
he gets slapped? Which was that?
Remember when Peter was at the party and
Oh,
then
when Harry was
Oh,
like-
yeah, I was like, what the hell? That was weird.
I
But-
think it was just to introduce tension.
I guess. But no. When he just, like, he takes off his mask, like, on the train.
Oh,
And it was like, wait, why did you do that? There was no reason to do that. It was really weird. And then everyone's, like, looking at him, and they Jesus carry him, like, over them for like, 5 seconds, and you're just like, what are you doing? Stop.
What is happening?
exactly.
What is happening?
And then, I feel like I'm forgetting something. There was something else. It was just like some really random small thing that was really weird. I don't know. Oh, one guy that I did like to see kind of a bit more of is like the newspaper guy.
Yeah, I enjoy his
He's such like a
character.
complete like wacko, but he's just entertaining about it. That it's just like, you know, he's one of those people where like if you actually knew him in real life, you fucking hate him. But like because he's like
Yeah.
not real, you could just like be like, yep, he's fucking nuts. It's great. So I'm glad we saw a bit more of him. I didn't realize that whole like laugh, like the you serious laugh meme was from this. Because I thought like I'm like I think that guy looks familiar, and then I was like, oh, there's that meme. There you go. So.
Seeing where all the memes come from now.
I know.
Right?
There's
I
so
love
many.
the part where he's like, maybe Spider-Man was a good guy. No, he stole the
He's a
He's a thief. He stole my suit.
And then prints it like immediately, and it's in the papers when he's like swinging around, being like, "I gotta go and do the thing now."
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, that's good. Again, there's so many like actually really good things. It's just Mary Jane fucks everything.
Even the
Even
message.
Even the message that was actually a good message. I'm gonna like revise my ranking because now you made me like hate it more. I don't know. It's I still like it overall.
Yeah.
I do think it's just overall the good things of this do kind of push it above like the original because Mary Jane was still kind of a problem with the original anyway.
Yeah, I guess I could also.
She probably is like worse in this, but I do think she was. It's not like she was good in the first one. So.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing that I did find, and I don't. Maybe I'm alone in this, but like, did this movie feel like longer than it was?
I think so.
Yeah, a little
Because
bit.
this was a 2-hour movie, but I felt myself like being like, when is this over? Like I don't know. It felt like long, and I don't
feel like
really know
the-
why.
Pacing of this, like this particular Spider-Man, like interpretation is just a bit slow because that was the same problem with the first movie.
Oh yeah, it
And
was.
it's also because we didn't see Dr. Octopus for a really long time. Like, for most of the movie, you don't really see him. You see him in
Yeah.
the beginning,
That's
and then
true.
you really only see him near the end. and stuff, but most of it is like internal conflict stuff.
Yeah, and then I guess like Doc Ock is kind of supposed to culminate in the like physical confrontation of like Peter being like, I gotta do this thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what his storytelling role is, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I will say I'm kind of annoyed at like movies. I mean, I know this is not this movie's fault. So many movies have done this, but like the whole like fusion power thing, just because it's literally impossible to do that. The temperatures needed for that to happen are too large, and a star that size would not sustain itself whatsoever. It would immediately just poof out of existence.
Poof.
Actually, well, no, it wouldn't poof. It would basically cause a nuclear explosion.
Oh.
So, I mean, I guess they were right in the sense that he would destroy half the city, but it would be, like, immediate. So, and again, like, okay. Even though I like the plot between generally the Doc Ock stuff, how does submerging a star in water stop it from doing anything? I mean, even ignoring the fact that a star that size wouldn't exist, if you poured water on a star, it doesn't do anything. Okay.
I think they're going off the logic that it's like hot, like fire. So you gotta submerge it in water, but yeah.
A star is not fire.
No.
So that aside, just because it's just every time I see it, it bothers me because I'm like, automatically this is implausible, well, impossible to go like that way. So yeah, what was the other movie that had wasn't like The Saint? Didn't The Saint have fusion reaction or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movie.
At least it wasn't that bad.
That was the thing that happened.
Yeah. I almost want to watch The Saint again just to like see how bad it was, because I feel like I've forgotten.
And how bizarre the soundtrack was.
Yeah. Well, what's next? I don't even know.
Oh
wait, no, I know.
Hmm?
It's the I don't know how to hint it, so I'll just show.
Oh, okay.
It's a movie that I know was like kind of received as like and I know that like I know the source material of the movie, but I also know that the movie like doesn't really follow the source material, so I don't
I've heard
really know how to think about it.
We'll just wait and see.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It's better than I guess that's better than some of the things that come later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we don't have Lord of the Rings anymore, guys.
Something's coming.
Oh,
something's coming. There's something.
Something
is coming, and we will not be happy.
No.
That'll be my last announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else's childhood trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet though. Not yet. But soon.
Soon we I don't know. Whatever.
Bye.
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 Oh, we are a mess.